My name's Matt McClure. I'm from Censio. I lead the engineering team there. I joined as the 6th employee just about 2 years ago, and we've grown to 25 people now at the Harvard Innovation Lab. We're now the launch lab across the street. How many people in the room drove here tonight? Maybe a third or so. How many people who drive are safer than the average driver? All right. Censio is making a platform, a mobile application platform for auto insurers to provide auto insurance through measuring your driving behavior on your phone. So you download our mobile app or the mobile app that your insurance company provides to you, and the mobile app will automatically record your driving behavior, go to sleep when you're not driving, and preserve your battery life. We've had to solve a number of really difficult problems in providing this. So the first thing is automatically recording driving, as I mentioned. We want to require no user interaction whatsoever after the initial login. The second thing is we need to preserve the battery life on the phone. So the app needs to be turned on and off, and really, from your point of view, really have minimal impact on your battery life. Insurers today are using about 5% of people in the United States have a hardware device that plugs into the diagnostics port on their car that samples the car's speed at 1 hertz. And that's great. It's attached to the car all the time, so it records every trip that car takes. It has some adoption challenges, as evidenced by 5% of drivers using it over a roughly 10-year history since it was originally developed. Censio has a different problem, so we believe we won't have the adoption problem, but we will have the problem of identifying what's driving and not driving. So we have to distinguish between what is a car trip versus what's riding in a bus or a train. And even more difficult, we need to distinguish when you're riding in a car as a passenger versus when you're driving the car. So these are the types of problems that our data science team works on. Really amazing new opportunity that we'll have when this is deployed broadly is to actually use the device that I think we stereotypically believe is causing a lot of distraction in the car, the phone itself, to measure distraction and start pricing auto insurance based on the amount of distraction as one among many factors. Today, that hardware device that some portion of people in the United States are using plugged into their car measures primarily the amount that you drive. It sounds sort of silly, but if you don't drive, then you're not likely to get into an accident. So it measures the total distance that you drive. Secondly, it measures the number one factor beyond that is how hard and how often you hit the brakes, which is, you can imagine, both an indicator that you're following too closely. It could be a secondary indicator of distraction. These are all things that we can measure with the mobile application as well. Just a quick word about the technologies that we're using. We've built native apps on iOS and Android using location services and motion sensor services. The service platform is implemented in Python on Amazon Web Services using PostGIS, S3, and Cassandra. And we have a number of web front ends that we use ourselves to get a window into the data and provide to the insurance companies as their portal into the information. The team has grown to about 25 people. We're still actively, aggressively hiring within the engineering team. Android developers, mobile developers, Python developers, data engineering, data scientists, and QA. Would love to speak with anyone who's interested. And now I'll show a quick demo of the mobile application itself. So this is the home screen. Showing my overall score of an 86 and my drive from the launch lab to the Nerd Center today. I made a 2-minute phone call. I hit the brakes hard once, and I had 2 hard accelerations. If we zoom in, I can see that I was not going over the speed limit or more than 5 miles an hour over the speed limit at any time. Oops. You can also see scores on each dimension. So this is my heart-braking score over time, my heart acceleration score over time. That corresponds to getting a new, more fun car to drive. The total amount that I drive, pretty habitual, just back and forth to work most of the time. How often I've been speeding, oops. And how much I've been using the phone. I got Bluetooth now, along with the new car. And dangerous times of day. So driving between midnight and 4 a.m. is about 4 times as risky as other times of the day. I don't do that much. Questions? Yes?
How do you differentiate between driving and video classes?
So it turns out there's no silver bullet, and we've combined a lot of different methods that each chip away at the problem. And in a predictive ensemble, we can be reasonably accurate. And it'll never be 100%. And we're working with the auto insurers to optimize how much of it do they want just a representative sample of driving versus do they want a complete picture of driving history. So it's still a work in progress. Yes?
Do you tell if somebody is bicycling?
Yes, we do have a bicycle detector. Speed, among other things, it uses a number of other techniques as well. Yeah. Yes, you had a question here in front?
Yeah, so how do you eliminate self-selection bias? Because a bad driver is not going to want to provide that data, and a good driver is already a good driver.
Turns out self-selection is actually in the insurer's interest. They would love to give a discount to someone who's safer than average. People who are at the other end of the distribution end up costing all of their expense and their loss ratio. So it's been a favorable thing that the 5% of people who are using it are self-selected as relatively safer drivers. Now, as more and more drivers get to use this, you can imagine another effect where people who don't opt in are going to end up by implicitly starting to pay more for car insurance. Yes?
Have you thought about selling this to trucking companies or Uber or things like that besides just insurance companies?
Yeah, absolutely. For the moment, we've decided to just strategically to focus on insurance companies. There's a big enough market there, and they have common enough problems. But for sure, there are tangential opportunities or adjacent opportunities in fleet tracking and in new things like Uber as well. Is there a question over here?
Up here?
Yes?
This is a very silly question, but is there any way to identify drivers based on just kind of a fingerprint of the way that you drive in particular? I mean, is the app anywhere close to, or will it eventually be kind of intelligent enough to define people based on that kind of thing?
I think that's likely at some point. Actually, a European insurance company, AXA, ran a Kaggle competition to develop a driver signature based on a data set that they had provided. We're not using that heavily today, but I think it's very likely. Yes?
Hi, I wonder whether driving is a little bit like healthcare. In healthcare, we like to say means are meaningless, and this sort of big data approach. So what I'd like to understand is what is safe? Because people may drive, all of us need, some of us more than others, but may have not had any accidents for 20, 30 years, right? Or other things. What is a safe driver and what's not a safe driver?
Great.
Because that's what I don't understand with these algorithms with driving. The other thing, which is just another thing, is we're always trying to control. At the end of the day, we're never going to have an unsafe world. At the end of the day, we all die anyway. We haven't run the experiment. But the reality is, let's stop trying to take risk out of everything. And there are other areas in the U.S. where many more people are dying than on the roads. In fact, it's amazing how good humans are at dealing with the complexities of driving.
So the CDC actually ranks transportation accidents as the number 2 or number 3 lifetime cause of death. About 30,000 people died in the United States last year from car accidents. But to your first question, the way risk is assessed and the way this all works is by tying it back together with claims data and the cost of those claims.
Right, but that's aggregate. That's essentially aggregate data. So the question is whether they actually do profiles. If you don't, there's just simply not enough data on the behavior of a driver and then relate that to claims. I suspect we don't have the data that makes it without it. So, sorry, there's a lot of issues with it.
No,
I hear you talking about.
Some.
What is safe? That's a big question.
The question was how to actually quantify safety, and I think to be fair, the insurers are quantifying their losses as correlated with these things that we can measure. So,
Right, but maybe things that much more relevant.
for sure.
So there's probably some bias. I think we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.